Ooh boy. So, according to official sources, on July 20th, a security forces airman stationed at F.E. Warren Air Base died after his holstered SIG M18 handgun discharged. You see, an active duty airman assigned to the 90th Security Forces Group at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, Wyoming, was found dead on duty from a gunshot wound. Was it user error? Mechanical failure? Holster issue? That's where things get a little murky. You see, Air Force Global Strike Command has paused use of the M18 modular handgun system effective July 21st, 2025. This decision was made following a tragic incident at F.E. Warren FAB. They've yanked all M18s out of rotation across the command and are issuing M4s instead, while every single M18 gets re-inspected. That doesn't happen unless they think something serious might have been going on or be going on. To be clear, nothing official has been released about exactly how the shooting happened. But on forums, Reddit, and some military circles online, there are unofficial claims floating around. According to these unconfirmed accounts, the airman may have removed his holstered M18 and placed it on a table or desk. And that's when the gun discharged while still inside the holster, striking him in the chest. Again, none of this has been formally verified, and I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm just telling you what people say happened. Now, if you're thinking, wait, I've heard this before. Yeah, you have. Because the M18 is basically a military branded P320, and the P320 has a history. Let's go back. 22 more gun owners sue Sig Sauer alleging P320 fired unintentionally. Then, jury finds Sig Sauer liable for pistol shooting, awards $2.3 million in damages. Then there's this. New Hampshire judge rejects class action lawsuit over Sig Sauer's troubled pistol. So as you can see, some courts say, yeah, there's a problem with the P320. However, there are other judges that say, nope, user error. But then the Michigan State Police came out with an evaluation report on the M18, where on July 31st, 2024, an MSP motor officer was standing in a squad area when his department issued Sig Sauer M18 fired uncommanded. The MSP motor officer had objects in his hands at the time of the event, including keys. In the evaluation that followed, the Michigan State Police worked with the FBI's ballistic research facility to analyze the weapon. While they couldn't replicate the exact malfunction in the officer's specific gun, the investigation did confirm that it's mechanically possible for the M18 to fire without the trigger being pulled. Specifically, if the sear engagement is lost and the striker safety lock is defeated. Under certain movements common to law enforcement duty, holstering, unholstering, and body friction, the report found that the striker safety could become disabled. That safety is supposed to be the final line of defense to prevent an uncommanded discharge. If it fails, and the sear also slips, you've got a live striker and nothing left to stop it from hitting a chambered round. The report didn't say this will happen every time, but it did say the risk is real and warrants further investigation. And that brings us back to this airman. Now, before I go further, let me clarify something I think a lot of people miss when we talk about SIG. Sig Sauer isn't just one company. There are actually 3 separate companies that operate under the SIG name. There's Sig Sauer AG in Switzerland, the original company, Sig Sauer GmbH in Germany, the German sister arm, and Sig Sauer Inc. in New Hampshire, the American company responsible for the P320 and M18. They are legally and operationally distinct. And what they're talking about here, the P320 and all the controversy around it, that's Sig Sauer USA, not the Swiss arm, not the German arm. So don't confuse the entire SIG universe with the specific situation we're dealing with here. This is like Porsche and Volkswagen. Yeah, they're connected under a bigger umbrella, but if a 911 explodes, you're not gonna walk up to a Volkswagen Golf owner and say, yo, what the hell? Same umbrella, totally different product, totally different team. So this conversation, this gun, this lawsuit, this tragedy pertains to Sig Sauer USA, just so we can clear up some of the confusion. Now, I have several Sig Sauer P320s, and I have the M18. I've got one of the first generation P320s. The M18 I liked, but I gush over the X5 variants of the 320. And one of my favorite PDW chassis, the Flux Raider, utilizes the P320 as well. The whole modular chassis thing, the fire control unit swap system, is cool as hell to me. I've got all the original stuff and still do. And that innovation, that's always been SIG's strength. They're a gun company that really pushes limits functionally and visually. If I had to name one brand that's the Apple of the gun world, SIG is the first one that comes to mind. They've always had this fresh, bold take on firearms. So yeah, I'm biased in that regard. I love their products. But I don't jump to conclusions because I've seen what happens. I've been in this game for a bit, long enough to know how dangerous it is to start making bold declarations before all the facts are in, within reason, of course. It's easy, especially online, to just jump in and say, oh, this is what happened after one headline. But I've seen too many cases where people do that and then a week later, boom, new evidence drops and everything completely changes. That's why I'm cautious about these types of stories, especially because I've got a big platform. My voice reaches far, so I try to be responsible with it. Do I think something's going on with the 320? Well, there is a lot of smoke. So that's telling me there's probably a fire. There's clearly something going on with the P320 platform to some degree. I don't know exactly what the issue is, but there's enough anecdotal evidence out there to make me say I'm probably not carrying a P320 anytime soon. Granted, that's easy decision for me to make because it's not a gun I carry anyway. Now, the P365, yeah, that's part of my carry rotation. I carry it a lot, and no, I don't have plans to stop. I've run mine ragged and abused it, so it's staying in the rotation for now. But let me be clear, I haven't had issues. The P320 water is murky, and when water is that murky, I'm not swimming in it, at least not on the P320 side of the pool.
Black people don't swim. I met you in the pool.
Now, that doesn't mean I'm giving away my P320s. I'm not selling them, I'm not melting them down, but I'm also not carrying them. And honestly, I wasn't really carrying them before, so it's not a huge shift. Now, when it comes to their rifles, especially the MCX line, no issues. The MCX is one of my favorite rifle platforms, and I haven't seen or heard anything that makes me second guess that. No uncommanded discharges, no weird failures. It's solid. So no, I'm not dropping those platforms. In fact, before this all happened, I had a video in the pipeline about how the MCX Spear LT got featured in the show Lioness and how much I love that gun, and I got reacquainted to how much I love the gun by watching the show Lioness. So I'm still gonna drop that video because it's good content and I'm excited about it. But carrying a gun that might shoot me? Look, I appendix carry. That means every day I've got a gun pointed at my...
Honestly, your third leg was just phenomenal.
That's why this stuff matters, because I need to trust what I'm carrying fully, because we carry guns to protect ourselves, not to fear them. It's hard to reconcile the idea that the thing designed to keep you safe might randomly fire and kill you. That cuts at the very core of why we carry a gun in the first place. And for a lot of people, I get it. That is a deal breaker. And I'm not mad at anyone who says, I'm never touching another SIG again. I get it. At the end of the day, time tells all. Either this is a one-off tragedy or it's the tipping point with the 320 design. We live in a time when guns are rolling off the line every week. When you mass produce anything, problems happen. Sometimes small, sometimes catastrophic. That's the risk. And I get the irony of me saying all of this as someone who carries appendix. But even I don't take that lightly. Never point a gun at yourself, even unloaded. I hate it. That's just how I was raised in this community. I'm not blaming the Airman. I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying what I believe. If I've got a loaded gun in a holster and I set it down, I don't want it aimed at me, and neither should you. I'm not saying this to Monday morning quarterback, the Airman. I'm telling this to anybody else that has a gun and takes off their holster and puts it on the table and sets it down. That's why I'm saying this, because regardless of whether or not this gun goes off by itself or it doesn't, just don't point a gun at yourself. And if this incident was truly an uncommanded discharge, then yeah, we have got a problem.
We've got a problem.
Now, before I wrap this up, let me put you on to something I've been using lately that's made a big difference for me at the range. The AKT1 Blackout by AKT1 Sports, AKA smart hearing protection for people who are tired of dumb hearing protection. Look, We've had dumb hearing protection forever, and it works. But the blackouts, those do all that plus more. You're getting NRR 25dB certified noise reduction tested by Penn State Labs, 6-time hearing enhancement so you can still hear range commands or your buddy talking to you, full Bluetooth functionality so you can vibe to your playlist or even take calls without yanking anything out of your ears. The sweat and waterproof design, IP65, a 10-hour battery life with a charging case that holds another 30 hours. And if you're like me and double up on hearing protection, these fit under earmuffs and get you up to NRR 30 dB total when paired. They're low profile, comfortable as hell, and built for shooters. If you've ever wanted ear protection that blends into your range routine and your life, this is it. The Blackout by AKT1 Sport. Because there's no excuse to still be using dumb hearing protection when smart hearing protection is right here.